Okay, I think I'm back. Wow. Okay, so uh energy vampires. So there's lots of ways that you can be siphoned from. There's lots of ways that people can take your energy from you. Um, Obviously, a direct attack like that, when somebody's verbally coming at you really hardcore, like I was describing earlier, is really super intense. And I did feel that, like I said, I laughed, like I said. I laughed a lot. I was in the middle of something. I was in the middle of getting ready to do my recording that I was talking about, of that tarot and oracle card reading, and so I was just ready for that. So after that happened, everything shifted, and I was utterly compelled to take a shower. And that's another thing I wanted to share was, if you can, if anything like that happens to you, do what you can to get into a shower or a pool or the ocean as soon as possible. You don't need to use soap. It's probably better. I mean, most soap is not good for you. Anyway, chemicals of any sort are not good. They're chemicals. So I'm trying to eliminate as many chemicals, or use them as much as, or as little as possible, across the board. So going into a body of water or stepping into a shower or bath or pool, anything like that, when like I was saying before, when you feel dirty, like I felt after I was getting ready to do this, to do that video, and I couldn't like shift back into that mode. That whole reading and everything also has to do with the same person. Well, he's one of the people. And so it's very connected. And I just started to feel dirty and dirtier and just like grimy, icky, gooey. And that reminded me very similarly to how it felt when I released all that negative, stored up, pocketed energy that was all throughout my etheric and energetic bodies. 5 years ago, when I cured myself, it reminded me of that feeling. I started to feel that nastiness, and that's like the only way I can describe it. It really is like this sludgy, uncomfortable and it just starts to, I could just feel it seeping, just getting in through the layers, because it was thrown at me. It was literally from his beingness at me in such a way that was so intense and so angry. And he has a lot of anger and fear inside of him, so he's projecting that out on me, and I was just standing there just watching. And when he would stop, I would continue what I was saying, which was, he was calling me neurotic and telling me that because I wanted my milk to be cold, and I didn't I wasn't accepting that if his milk was just as warm as mine from his refrigerator, that was okay. I still wanted and want a properly working refrigerator. And because of that, I was called names, and he got very, very angry that I wasn't just accepting him to buy me milk when I needed it. Because it hasn't just been the milk, it's been a lot of all my dairy basically, and it's wet in there. So even in my really nice containers that are supposed to keep my fruit that I mostly eat, fruits and vegetable, I basically eat like really good yogurt, organic milks, like cage-free organic eggs, fruits, and vegetables. Like that is my diet basically. I eat like breads and stuff too, but so, like, if all my vegetables and my fruits are getting wet and rotting before I can eat them, and all my dairy is spoiling before I can eat it, and I live in an area where the food is at least twice as much in a lot of cases from where I used to buy food, and that's so beside the point, but it's been expensive to constantly replace food that I shouldn't need to replace. And finally, I'm like, I can't. This is the reason. Finally, I'm like, oh my God, you need to test, like, because it feels cold. It feels good. But if you put your hand in there, it's like, it's pretty warm. So finally, after realizing that yet again, I needed to buy brand new sour cream when I just bought it like a week ago and it should last a long time, we have a problem. And I tested the milk with my food thermometer and it was way warmer than it should be. It just is. It's not a judgment. I'm not pointing fingers or blaming. I think that maybe there's some guilt associated there because they knew about it before. So they had me use a refrigerator that they knew wasn't properly working, and it took me way too long to address it, but I've been a little busy. So since shit hit the fan before, I told him when I went to him to tell him about this refrigerator thing, I hate to come to you with anything because things have not been good, because I got really tired of being constantly attacked out of the blue in various ways for most of the time that I've been here. I'm not going to go there, but yes, it's been tough since I've been here. It has not been easy. It has not been easy. And I got rid of a lot of my things to move here. I lived in a 2-bedroom apartment that was filled with my stuff. And I got rid of most of it, which felt great. I'm not complaining about that. But what I'm saying is that, like, it wasn't like it was no big deal. Like, I moved 35 miles away from where I used to live. I got rid of most of my stuff. In the process of moving here, one of my cats has died, to which neither of my roommates have ever shown any kind of sympathy or empathy whatsoever. In fact, one of the ways that I was attacked by him recently is that out of the blue, when I sent a text message saying, hey, you guys left both side gates open and my dog got out and was down the street. Later on I'm going to skip a whole section there, but later on, because that'll take me down a road, but later on, he, out of the blue, with no context whatsoever, said, it's really too bad you can't find Buddy. And it was just so cruel. My cat was killed by coyotes just a few weeks ago. And it's too bad you can't find Buddy. I didn't even cry when he did that then because I was so just I guess angry. I guess I held on to it, and here it is. When I get angry, I cry. But I was so angry that day that I just couldn't even let myself because it was so mean. So mean. So anyway, cruelty is a really great way to take somebody's energy. Constantly thinking negative thoughts about somebody, I can feel it. Like, I'll be in the middle of doing whatever, and all of a sudden I'll get like I'm telepathic, so I can easily pick up on what people are thinking, especially when they're thinking about me. You don't have to be in front of me. You don't have to be talking to me. You can be in the next room. You can be on the next street. You can be across the country and think about me, and I will know it. If I know you and we have a connection and I'm open to you and I haven't cut you out, most assuredly, a lot of the time. So it's been hard. I represent a lot of the things that he has shut himself down to and off to, and quite literally told me the other day that he does not think he wants to open himself up to. And that is totally his decision. And it's frustrating for me, I'm not going to lie. I am human. Because he has a lot of potential, and that's why he's so angry, and that's why he's so powerful, and that's why he could come back from the dead, basically, and be a miracle. There's a reason for that. There's a reason for me being here. There's a reason for all of it. There's a reason for everything. Nothing is an accident. Nothing is a coincidence. Not literally. And once you start paying attention to that, and hearing for it and looking for it and seeing it, and you stop being so distracted with other things like you're programmed to be, and you're open because you started figuring out and seeing things and connecting the dots, yeah, you get more and more and more and more and more. Sometimes way more than you're ever ready for. But there it is, because they know you're ready for it, and that's the only way to continue growing is by going and getting and knowing. And for me, I'm not meant to do that quietly. I'm not meant to do that oppressively. I'm meant to do that in a way that gets the word out to people, because it's important. It's really important. Because children should be raised a certain way so they're not abused, and so they're not siphoned off of, and so they're not told that they're weak and sensitive and they need to hide away from the world, and oh, you're so broken and wrong. And I mean, I can't even tell you how many times in my life I was told that I was such a mess. You're such a mess, Vanessa. Oh my God. Well, it's because, guess what? I was an empath and I had no idea. I was picking up on everything around me. I still do. Like, I still do. Like, I can't help it. Like, I'm an empath. That's what we are. And that's why we're so sensitive. And that's why we tend to pull back from people, because we know a lot. Especially when we start to just get higher in vibe and frequency, we know more and more and more. And sometimes that's really hard, to be around people who you think want to know too, and you try to share, and then they get really angry at you about it. Because a lot of the times it's not the most comfortable stuff, because it's not normal. It's not what people are used to. It's a little scary, yeah. But what's better, living asleep? I don't think so. Not knowing who you really are, not knowing where you really come from, sitting around and asking the questions, why am I here? What am I here for? What is this good for? What's the purpose? What does it all mean? Why is there all this destruction? Why is there all this hurt and hate and anger and bloody violence and people just being so mean and cruel to each other? What is this? Why? Why am I here? Like, what the fuck? I ask myself those questions like a lot. a lot. I ask myself a lot of really big, hard, uncomfortable questions about reality and life and existence. It happens when you ponder suicide as much as I used to. So, at one point, when one way or another you're hell-bent to kill yourself, but you keep asking the questions, you're gonna get the answers. So, I started getting the answers. Thank God. Because, oh shit, man, I gotta tell you, life is pretty sweet since then. I'm not saying there hasn't been its fucked up moments. I'm not saying that it hasn't been hard, and it hasn't been a little twisted, and it hasn't been hard to understand, and knowing that, or when I was told, like, okay, so you have this story to tell about being an empath and what that means, and how you're chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia for your whole life. You're over and over and over and over on the whole like disability thing. The whole reason for your life being the way that it is doesn't have to be that way. You're not really sick, and you can make yourself all better. It's like, some would say a miracle. And many people that would have known me or did know me from back then would be really surprised at the body that I live in today and the person that I am today. Because I'm very different, extraordinarily healthy, all the way around. The child in me that barely got a chance to live at all back then is really good. Live and well and extraordinarily happy, because she knows who she is, and that makes everything better. And that's what it's all about for me, to share that so other people can feel that when they are babies. That's why it's so important to me. Hi, little bear. It's my kitties here. Hi, little It's extraordinarily important to me to empower empaths so they can empower the non-empaths in their lives, and it'll just like a beautiful, magical, light up fire, you know? That's what I see. Just this beautiful, lit up fire so humanity can all be so happy. That's what I know is coming. And I'm just a teeny tiny little piece of that thing happening. And it took me a long time. Like I was going to say before, it took me a long while after I was like awoken and I started figuring out things that there's a story, right? And then I'm told that I'm supposed to be out in public, and if 5 people hear about me and that helps them, great, or 500 or 500,000, which that honestly kind of gives me heart palpitations, to be completely honest. It like makes me shake because that's extraordinarily overwhelming. But I want people to know who they really are. And that they've been misled. And that they're most likely taking medications that are really bad for them, that are shutting their natural abilities down. Which, by the way, fibromyalgia is a tippity top illness for empaths and people like me, which I haven't said it. I realized a few months ago that my very first spark of soul creation was as an angel, and so a lot of incarnated angels tend to come down with these types of illnesses: fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, multiple sclerosis. Sorry, I'm a little shaky right now. And then you get put on medications that make it even worse, your natural abilities. So it's just like twisted up, really, from like what reality is and what you're told is so twisted up that it makes you more sick. So when people know that they don't have to be sick, and they can be totally fine, better than like really, really good. Like when they really start understanding what it means to have certain things in your body or not, even on your body. It was extraordinarily important for me to cut my hair. My hair was down to there. It was really, really long. Not too long ago. But it started to just not do very well. Well, I wasn't doing very well, so it wasn't doing very well. But aside from that, like once I woke up, once I was like online, I should say, it too felt dirty to me because it was dirty. That's a lot of old, like history and energy attached to you when you have really long hair, and especially if you've been through traumatic events, you've been sick, especially if you've been sick for long periods of time and you've had your long hair during those long periods of time, it doesn't do you any good. Okay, I'm just going to say it just does not. So, actually, and messing with your hair, getting touched, people touching your hair is another way that people can take your energy. It's another form of energy vampirism, which I'm going to get back to because I kind of got down my life story there for a bit, and I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. That was supposed to be a different video. But it's been an extraordinarily emotional day because it wasn't just the one roommate. When the other one came home, I got it from him too. So everything is the way it's supposed to be. I know that. It's just tiring sometimes, you know? Okay, so aside from straight attacks towards you, fights and verbal things of physical or verbal, mental, emotional abuse, straight up, there is, which we all know for the most part what those are. There is also when people lie, that is a form of vampirism. And just because it's instantly negative, most of the time, when you're being lied to. Most people do, or they have an inkling of it. And as soon as you have an inkling that you've been deceived or lied to, disrespected, been judged against, something like that, and you let that kind of sit for a moment, it creates negative energy, and that negative energy is fed upon. There's also seductive type ways for energy vampirism, and this includes preying upon the mates of other people in a very systematic way, I guess you could say. So especially not like if somebody's not aware that they're hooking up with somebody's boyfriend, or there is that negative energy there, but it's different when somebody specifically goes after a mate of somebody else's. It's especially enhanced in the negative energy, as you could imagine, when somebody does that to somebody that they know, especially if it's supposed to be their friend. It's another form of energy vampirism, and it's a really, really nasty thing that happens, and there's been a lot of that going around. Not involving me, so I'm not like people. I want to make sure I get that straight. It has nothing to do with me whatsoever. But I've witnessed it and heard about it. So there is also when people tell lies about you, and of course those lies being negative, or even when they talk about you in truths but have a negative or omit things, negative energy abound there, and they feed off of that as well. There's also negative energy cultivated when somebody is, I guess you could say, rejected, either by one person in a way that creates disharmony with other people. That's another form of it. So it's setting off people to feel negative energy about one individual and then feeding off of that negative energy. Especially when those things are, or those things that are told about that person are lies. So that's another thing. Just straight up going after and using people for their material goods or things that they have or places that they live, in their space, taking from them, and having the intent to take from them and not really caring about them is another form of energy vampirism. Uh, there's a lot, but the reason why this is so important right now is because of the Lionsgate coming up. And what goes on with that Lionsgate, excuse me, is this alignment, this like level up boost in light hitting the planet, which means you get more awareness. It thins the veil. However, what can happen is when negative energy is directed at you, it will at some point start to lower your vibration. So if you're going into an energetic up boost and you're being attacked, that's making it so when you level up, you're not leveling up as high as you possibly could or should because you've been brought down. And for some of us, those circumstances are orchestrated. And I know that sounds very conspiracy theory. However, when you're of a type of person who activates other people to wake up and ascend, especially if you're somebody who is hell-bent like me on their mission, no matter what, to make videos and write and sit down with people and do the tarot and the oracle and give them the guidance that they're supposed to have so they can continue on their journey and ascend and grow and awaken. Hellbent is what I am. There is no such thing as hell, by the way, but as we've got that right here, if you want it, you can create it. It's called manifesting your creation, and that's exactly what you can do here. A lot of what's going on, like I've tended to manifest. What I mean is a lot of what, like where I've moved and what I have, and I mean this little birdie behind me, like on a Tuesday night, I'm like, I think I'd really like to have a bird. Like one that needs to be rescued, that's like can be around other birds, but it's cool to be around. The next morning, literally, birdie was sitting there for me. Like this house that I'm supposed to be in once I decided, like, and also the not so good stuff too, because I can manifest really quickly. I have to really watch my thought processes and projecting negative outcomes. I've been training not to do that. And then even if negative things happen, I do my best not to, I'm like, whoa, this is a ride. Like some days are just like today was a ride, but it makes sense. It's August 4th. So it makes sense. I was just writing about yesterday on my Facebook page about how there's all these solar activities and geomagnetic or solar wind, geomagnetic resonance is super high, and UV, and it's like on and on and on. It's like, I'm what you call extra crispy. I'm tingly, like all through my body, hardcore. And I know what's going on, and I just like watch and I try to tell people, pay attention to this stuff because it's going to make you a little cuckoo. If you're not paying attention, it affects you physically, it affects you emotionally, it affects you mentally. It's supposed to bring up stuff. And if you're not aware of it, you don't handle it well. You do not handle it well. People don't know what's going on, and they lose their shit, and they project out because things are being brought up that they don't know how to process in certain circumstances. So that's part of it too. So during this time, actually for forever, but let's start now, okay? Because right now is where we're at as far as, energetically speaking, and everything going on with the solar system and the universe and blah, 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 right? So, starting now, you really, really, really need to be, especially if you're an empath, especially if you're a powerful empath. You really need to be careful about who you're sharing space with. And I didn't even get into other circumstances that I dealt with. I dealt with a person who was testing me psychically, was making me, causing heart palpitations and me to lose my breath and have an extraordinarily difficult time moving up a hike, and I thought it was because I'm a physical empath and I was near a lot of people who were exerting themselves, but I'm like in really good shape right now, and that just, it was weird. And later on I came to realize what was going on, and I was being energetically, psychically attacked and siphoned off of, and a lot of us were being messed with by one person in the group. So I dealt with that. I'm not going to get into a whole lot of that because I'm way too tired. In another situation, there was a different person who on another hike kept wanting to walk behind me, and I could feel my heart chakra light up and act like get super, super hot, and not in a warm fuzzy kind of way, but in a like pulling kind of thing. I feel my chakras really intensely. So I know when that's happening, and just because, and a couple days before, it had happened hardcore in many different various ways over the course of a day and a half, that and a lot of things happened that was really obvious afterwards. At the time I didn't recognize it, but there were various things that happened, in which ways that I was either tested or attacked, and I'm still trying to figure out exactly what his motives are and really who he is. But aside from that, this other person was specifically bringing up negative topics, and so if somebody does that a lot around you, just notice the base of what it is that they're talking about, or how they'll turn a conversation. If you are talking about something positive, that is another way to take energy from you, and another form of energy vampirism, because you're creating a negative energy and then pulling from it and extrapolating, and especially if you're able to get that person worked up, either in fear or in anger or some kind of worked up negatively, of negative charge, then it can work in a positive way too, but mostly energy vampires work with negative energy. That's kind of like what mainstream media is all about. It's a lot of storytelling of fear-based stories and situations and things, and in a lot of cases are not true, but in order to create fear by the masses, and they're really good at it. Tomorrow I'm going to talk about how, well, I don't know about tomorrow, but soon I'm going to talk about why Trump is so great, because he's bringing up a lot of stuff for people to pay attention to, which is good. Everybody's waking up. But that's another huge ball of negative energy. The whole government thing, Trump and the presidency and everything surrounding it, there's so much negativity that if you are too into it, you're being siphoned off of, because you're adding to the collective consciousness of negativity, because you're being a party to it, you're listening to it, it's in your consciousness, then you think about it, then you talk about it, then you write about it, then you blog about it, then you comment about it, or whatever the things you do about it. You don't just watch it and it does not permeate. It absolutely does. Everything that you bring into your consciousness, everything that is in front of your eyes, everything that you hear, everything that you see creates either this vibe or that vibe. And it goes up into the collective consciousness and it feeds into that. So either your energy is feeding into good and positive collective consciousness or it's not. So it's really important who you're spending your time around. Extraordinarily important, especially when you're supposed to be leveling up, which is what we're supposed to be doing right now. Most people don't know that because, of course, you're not going to hear about that on mainstream media, that there's this lionsgate. And I mean, they can't really hide the eclipse, and we're going to, that's an even bigger boost. That's like, whew, hello. That's on another level. So they can't really hide that, but it's starting now. And I mean, regardless of that, in any time, in any form, in any place and time, you want to not add to the negative collective consciousness. You want to add to the positive collective consciousness and raise the negative collective consciousness by being a part of the positive collective consciousness, period. That means not partaking in negative based situations, and that is all sorts of stuff. But there's all sorts of stuff that's a really great vibration and makes you feel really fantastic. And let me tell you, I used to be like really into TV. There wasn't a DVR that was big enough for me. I don't watch any television now. I used to watch baseball all the time. It was one of my favorite things, but it's negative based in a lot of ways. It's competitive, it's separation, it's duality driven. All around it is propaganda and advertisement for things that are not good for you for the most part. So I still enjoy watching some baseball, but in really small doses. For the most part, I don't partake in a whole lot. I just barely got on social media now because, again, on Instagram and Facebook, because I am wanting to transition from what I'm doing. And for those of you who don't know, this is also part of like why it's been a little weird and scary for me to just come out and be me and say, hey, yeah, like I've totally cured myself and empaths unite and we're warriors and whatever, like, and all the things I'm going to be sharing, because people, I assume, want to know about me, and that's really weird for me. Like, I'm not the most public person. I've always been, I'm not shy. I'm really personable, and I love meeting and talking to people. That's just kind of who I am. But at the same time, it's really weird to be out there, and I was not into it at all for a long time. And even now, you can see how many videos are actually published. I finally decided that what I have to do is live videos because, well, first of all, life is so crazy and changes so rapidly in my world that I literally don't have and haven't had time to take videos, upload video, like edit videos, upload video. I mean, it takes so freaking long, and I just don't have time for that. And time moves extraordinarily fast, and at least it has been. And when you even work at home, you still then have animals to take care of in a home and whatever. It's just, there isn't time. And I guess I wasn't ready either. Kind of have to be up for it, And I guess I haven't been up for it. There's never really the right time to, I don't think, to kind of step out about everything and who you are. But there comes a point where you are ready, and the timing makes perfect sense, like it does now. Especially since I haven't been able to do my job for weeks now, pretty much all month, because, well, I've been dealing with all this negativity, and it's really hard to do my job when I'm upset, when I've been attacked, when my home isn't safe, when things are, just not right. I'm supposed to make people happy doing what I do, or what I used to do. No. So for the last few years, I've been a phone sex operator and pretty good at it. I'm an empath and I'm psychic and telepathic, so it doesn't hurt, I found. It actually lended me to work on those abilities and not even know it, like that I was doing it, until I kept hearing about how I was reading minds and realized that I was seeing pictures and hearing things and understanding and connecting in an energetic way that I didn't expect. And yeah, it definitely helped me in understanding a lot of the psychic sides of me, which, by the way, I have like all the clairs. So clear cognizance, clear audience, clear voyance, whatever. There's a lot of clairs. I have them all. And always have. It's just they haven't been so clear as they are now, and they just get stronger, which is really cool. Something to look forward to in your ascension. It's a little weird at first. Some people are really able to see auras and stuff, but I can just sense energy. It's more of a sense than I don't see colors like some people do. That's not my thing. I have other abilities, but I can heal, and well, it's more of which is kind of the same, a healing, a releasing of trapped and dense energy that I can do on people, that works instantaneously, and also the whole psychic medium channel thing. And again, the psychic medium, like telepath thing, definitely helped when doing being a phone sex operator, a phone actress. There's different ways to put it, but yeah, and so it started off this month with me not being able to do that because I was upset with a lot of things. I was psychically attacked after a trip, and so I was exhausted. It affected me, and also not only that, but the knowledge of it when it was like channeled to me after the fact, when I just couldn't understand. I was just so out of sorts, so out of sorts, just not feeling like myself whatsoever. And I got home and took a shower, and then boom, just shit. Yeah, so that just happened. Damn it. I will take care of that later. Oh, that is gnarly. Look at this. It's not the first thing that broke tonight either. Oh, I woke up my bird. Oh, Angel. Are you okay? I'm sorry, Lovey. That sucks. Fuck. I didn't know what I was saying right then. Oh yeah, channel whatever. So I haven't been able to do my job this month because, well, first of all, somebody owes me a lot of money for a lot of work that I did for him in that realm, and like thousands of dollars, and decided not to pay me. So that's been disappointing. Maybe a sign, they say. And aside from that, I mean, I really thought that I would get paid. And so I've been upset and exhausted and dealing with people attacking me in and out of the home. And energetic vampires abound, and realizing and getting downloaded that this is a serious issue. And it's not just with me, it's with a lot of people, and it's important that people are aware of it. And really the message about knowing where you're at and the people that you're with. It's one thing to be at a gathering in a public space and people just show up and you meet people and they're invited there, but really think about who you're taking home, who you're going on trips with, things like that. Because it can be downright detrimental to your life in certain situations. And depending on where you are, that you may or may not even know. You may just start feeling really agitated. You may get, like I said, heart palpitations, having a hard time breathing. Your stomach can hurt. You're all of a sudden got a headache. Your chest gets hot. Like all sorts of really weird things can happen. I did other videos months ago. It's called like empaths allergic to people, and that's another energy vampire thing, but it's like on like a smaller scale, a bit, because still you can start sneezing like crazy, you start yawning like crazy, you can get the shakes when you're around somebody who's drawing energy from you. I've felt all of these things, and in the past I had no idea that that's what was happening to me. None. And it would resonate and it would affect me and it would seep in, and then I could possibly be in bed for days depending on who was around and who, because if there's psychic vampires, and you can actually Google how to siphon from people do this, people are trained to do it. So, I mean, this is a very real thing. And then there's just people who naturally do it because they're just dicks and they're narcissists and they like to create chaos. But then there's actual people that go after people that are of a extra high vibration, like myself, who they can extrapolate even higher amounts or higher vibrational energy. Because energy is like, and frequencies are of different vibrations. That's like what sound is. And so some people resonate at a lower vibration. So imagine somebody who's really overweight, who drinks, who does drugs, all that. Okay. That battery is not going to be as supercharged as this battery. Okay. It's just facts. It's not a judgment. It's just facts. So when an energy vampire, trained energy vampire, and please beware and be aware and beware of people who are training to be massage therapists or going to massage therapy school and don't actually have a place of business. A lot of people, I found, like to say that, or maybe they even are, which is even scarier because then they're really putting their hands on people, but they use that to take from you instead of healing you and giving to you, maybe some of their life force on their own and controlling it and managing your energy like, energy workers do. They will take from you. And they'll leave you feeling all disoriented, like, oh, wow, that was so intense. And you're not helped whatsoever. That's happened to me so many times, and I had no idea. It got to the point where I stopped going to and getting massages, even from people who are trained massagers. They maybe massage therapists. That, some people, I find that they do know that they're doing it and they're strategically trying to do it, and there's people who don't know that they're doing it, but they're doing it. So either way, you really need to be aware of your physicality, your body, and the people around you and what they're doing and who they are and how you're feeling, and really shield yourself. I, for the longest time, have been like, I want to be open and not think about all this negative stuff and negative entities and dark forces and full-on races of people who feed off of people like me and humanity, but they're there. So and once you're attacked the way that I've been attacked, you really can't ignore it, and because it's real. It's real on so many levels. Energy vampirism, especially when things are happening like they are astrologically, are designed to bring down the global vibration. It's really not possible, but you can have fun trying, right? Can really set people off and create all sorts of chaos at really shitty times when people are already not okay because their batteries are a little wonked from all the extra supercharged energy. So it really creates a very like that perfect storm environment. And it also supercharges the natural narcissistic empaths too. Those, what I like to call opportunistic narcissistic empaths, really ramps them up because they need the charge too. So they feel it and then they go after you or after situations, create situations, things like that. Okay, so I know I went off in a bunch of different directions, but the moral of the story here is that I don't like that there even is this to talk about. I don't like the negativity, the drama, the chaos. I've done my best to stay away from it for a really long time. But it lives and we need to deal with it. And it's also something that is important to me to warn people about. So anyway, I appreciate it if you were with me tonight. I have no idea if even one person at this point has watched this live stream, or if you get to know me and watch this after this is posted. Please feel free to leave your comments. I will answer them. And I will be back very soon because now I'm not doing my job that I used to do anymore. It is time for me to move on from that. I'm not sure what's going to happen on many levels, but it will get figured out. I'm really kind of not worried about it. I'm more at this point just ready, because it's time, I guess. And it's also time for people to stop being victims and to start being empowered and to recognize when they are being manipulated in different ways. And I'm also going to I'll put a couple links down because I found some really cool stuff on vampirism. I mean, you can Google yourself, energy vampires, vampirism, things like that. You can find some really cool stuff. But I'll put the stuff that I read through that I think is worth a good read, worth your time, most definitely, especially if you're an empath, especially if you're a psychic empath, somebody of a high vibration, or somebody who is trying to be. Yeah, it's very important. Okay, so I'm going to get going. I am pretty tired and I need to shut this place down and chillax for a while. So, again, thank you for your time. I really, really appreciate it. And I hope that your lionsgate is great. Please set intentions. Start thinking about your intentions for leveling up and unity consciousness and awakening and connecting more with your higher self and your soul purpose, and just asking for the knowledge that you're ready for at this time. You're kind of sometimes given some stuff that'll kind of blow you away, but for the most part, you'll get stuff as you ask for it, if you're ready. So, if you're ready, have fun with it. It's pretty cool. Okay? All right. I'll see ya. Bye.